Okay, so this video we'll be taking a look at the three types of potential we're talking about here. We're talking here about the neuron here, and we're talking about resting potential, graded potential, and action potential. Now, resting potential, this is when the neuron is sleeping, and this is minus 70 millivolts. Now, the graded potential, this happens when the voltage changes based upon the sodium and the potassium in there, and it goes from minus 69 to minus 56. And this graded potential is when the sodium and the potassium is changing here, and this happens in the dendrites and the soma only. So graded potentials only happen in the dendrites and the soma. Now the action potentials happen on the axons, only on the axons. And this is, now when it reaches minus 55, this is threshold. That's what that's called when it's minus 55. Now minus 55, minus 54 or more or less, I should say. Well, it's actually more. When it keeps going, minus 53, minus 53, whatever this is all action potential. Action potentials start at the threshold. So when we think about this neuron sleeping and dendrites and the soma and the axon, what we're kind of talking about here, if you have the neuron body, if you have a neuron body here, let's say this is a neuron, little cells and everything, and you have all these dendrites that are coming in, that are sort of branched out, all out here or whatever. They're just kind of, and they're all just banging in information all the time. When that graded potential happens, when this voltage changes with that sodium and the potassium, in the graded potential mode, it's only happening in the dendrites and the soma. Once it reaches 55, now it's going down the axon. Remember, there's only one axon. There's only one axon on all neurons. Once it reaches 55, now the action potential will fly. It's not just going to be in the dendrites and the soma anymore. So that threshold is kind of actually in here, like right here at the beginning of the axon, and then boom, it goes down. Of course, very fast. And that starts at minus 55 millivolts. And that voltage is based upon the neuron chemistry of the sodium and the potassium. And we'll talk about that here in another video. But just to give you the big picture, the resting potential is when it's at minus 70. The graded potential is happening only in the dendrites and the soma. So again, that graded potential is only happening in here. When it's kind of moving up and down, if it's in between these numbers in here, the graded potential is only in the dendrites and the soma. Any number inside of here. That's how we know if it's graded potential or not, by checking out this millivoltage here. Once it reaches 55, boom, we know this is an action potential. It's going to start. It's going to go all the way down. And then, of course, just to kind of continue this axon will meet other dendrites. Other dendrites of what? Other dendrites of another neuron. So another neuron will be here, then another action potential will be here, another axon is here, and the same process will happen. This one will fire up this one, and that one will fire up this one, and it will just keep going. But just to give you the big picture there, we have the action potentials, which starts at 55, graded potential, and resting potential.